Ma Teng, Protector of the West, a warrior with significant martial prowess, which shone through as he helped put down the rebellion of the Qiang tribes, which helped him rise through the ranks of soldiery in the Han Empire. He later switched sides, however, and joined the rebels. When the rebellion was eventually suppressed by the Han Empire, he, among others, was given military titles to appease him. Now he is loyal to the Han Empire, and he remains merciless with its enemies. Hello, my name is MrSmartDonkey, and today we're going to be taking a look at the ins and outs of Ma Teng's faction in Total War: Three Kingdoms. Starting with Ma Teng's character and faction specializations. Ma Teng's unique character traits are plus 10 melee damage for shock cavalry, plus 100% income from silk and spice, and a faction-wide upkeep cost reduction of 15% for Qiang units. Since the Qiang units, which are unique to Ma Teng's faction, are all cavalry units, his upkeep cost reduction will be very helpful, as you will likely be fielding lots of cavalry. Similarly, the melee damage increase for shock cavalry is a huge boon, as it increases their killing power significantly. Ma Teng also starts with Silk, Resource Region and bordering several more, meaning it gets to enjoy the 100% income increase right away. Ma Teng doesn't have his own unique resource, but instead just benefits from a few smaller buffs. These are a small increase in food when an army goes into encampment stance, and increased military supplies for all armies. Ma Teng's playstyle focus is cavalry and military supplies, which is quite clear from the personal and faction buffs we just looked at, as well as of course the aforementioned unique units, of which there are 3. Qiang Hunters, Qiang Marauders, and Qiang Raiders, which we will look at in more depth later. Ma Teng has one unique building, the Qiliang Supply Lines, which replaces the Military Infrastructure building. It increases your public order, gives more food from putting your army in encampment stance, increases military supplies in the commandery and adjacent commanderies, decreases military supplies for enemy armies in the commandery, and finally decreases construction cost reduction for government buildings. Ma Teng is also loyal to the Han, meaning he cannot declare himself emperor the normal way. He will have to wait until other factions do so, and then take one of their seats to declare himself emperor. Finally, Ma Teng is accompanied by Peng De and his son Ma Chao, whom we will look at in more detail later. Ma Teng starts in the Silk Trader region of Wudu, facing off against a very small Yellow Turban force. Unlike most factions, Ma Teng has 2 regions under his command at the start of the campaign. Besides the Silk Trader in Wudu, he also owns the horse pastures in Jingcheng. Both buildings are fantastic for different reasons. The Silk Trader, as explained earlier, makes Ma Teng a fair amount of money due to his 100% increase in income from silk and spice, and the horse pastures decrease recruitment and upkeep costs for cavalry faction-wide, and as Ma Teng loves his cavalry, this is going to save him a lot of money. That brings us to your neighbours, starting in the west and northwest, where you will find Han Sui, your ally. Among other things, he controls one of the Silk Traders, which you'll certainly want to try and take off of him at some point, whether through diplomacy or force. To your northeast and the toolmaker of Anding are some Yellow Turban rebels, whom you won't really have to worry about too much as they'll get taken out by Dongzhuo soon enough. Speaking of the big man, you'll find him to your east. He too controls one of the Silk Traders, which again you might want to try and take off of him one way or another at some point. Finally, to your south is your first real target, the capital town of Wudu, currently owned by some Yellow Turban rebels. You'll be able to take this on turn 1, but be careful. If you decide to take it on turn 1, you can expect to get attacked there during the end turn sequence by Gongdu, so take care not to lose too many men when conquering the town. Moving on to Ma Teng's already unlocked reform, which is permission to forage, increasing his military supplies by 4 faction-wide, which combined with his increased military supplies faction buff means you likely won't have any military supply issues for quite a while. Finally, a quick look at Ma Teng's family tree, which is rather small. Besides Ma Teng himself, he only has his wife Hua Lanli and his yet to come of age son Ma Chao. Moving on to your legendary characters, starting with Ma Teng himself. The Protector of the West is a vanguard, meaning he excels at fighting enemy troops but doesn't perform as well against enemy generals. Just like every other legendary character, he starts with an extra resilience, meaning he won't die the first time he falls in battle. Ma Teng comes from a poor background, decreasing his income from family estates by 25%, losing him 500 income per turn. Other than that, he gets a ton of stat increases as well as the faction-wide buffs we looked at earlier. Ma Teng's traits are cruel, loyal, and careless, which provide him, among other things, with -4 public order faction-wide, military supplies in his own army, and a lower chance of avoiding ambushes. Quite a poor batch if I'm honest. His skills provide him with buffs such as charge bonus for his retinue, melee damage for shock cavalry in his retinue, and most importantly, an ability that decreases morale of all enemy units around him. Finally, Ma Teng only has a single unique item, his armor, which provides him with a load of instinct and an increased charge bonus. While he hasn't yet come of age at the start of the campaign, I will still show Ma Chao here, the way he'll be when he comes of age. The most brilliant warrior is a vanguard like his father, meaning he does well at destroying enemy units, but doesn't fare as well against enemy generals. His faction-wide bonuses are pretty damn strong, decreasing the upkeep of Qiang units, and increasing the armor and melee damage of all shock cavalry by 15%, making him a very solid heir. Ma Chao's traits are brave, reckless, and fraternal, which among other things grant him morale when commanding, increased movement speed in battle, and increased satisfaction. Ma Chao's skills provide him with buffs such as increased campaign movement range, one additional available army, and the same ability his father has, decreasing the morale of all enemy units around him. Ma Chao also gets a unique ability later on, which massively increases his charge bonus, mass, and charge speed. Finally, Ma Chao, again similar to his father, only has a single unique item, which is his armor, giving him expertise, instinct, and increased movement speed in battle. Finally, there's Peng De, who's one of Ma Teng's noteworthy characters, but not a legendary one, meaning he doesn't have anything unique about him and is in essence just an ordinary champion. For this reason, I will not be showcasing him to the extent I've showcased other characters. Let's take a look at Ma Teng's unique units, of which there are 3, the Qiang Marauders, Qiang Hunters, and Qiang Raiders, all cavalry units that fill a different role in his armies. Let's take a closer look, starting with the Qiang Marauders, which are available from the get-go at level 1 for all of Ma Teng's generals. They are a mid-game spear cavalry unit, with an incredible charge and an even better armor-piercing melee attack. They don't have a shield however, and not the heaviest armor, so they are susceptible to arrow fire, but other than that they are a more than decent unit. Next up are the Qiang Hunters, which are available to Ma Teng's generals from level 3 onward. Since there's only one other non-unique ranged cavalry unit, this makes for a very easy comparison, and it's basically no contest. Qiang Hunters are better in almost every single way, from their melee stats to their range stats. There's honestly not a whole lot to say about this unit. If you like using mounted archers, you can't go wrong with Ma Teng. Finally, there's the Qiang Raiders, which are available to Ma Teng's generals from level 5 onward. This is a very interesting unit as it is a melee cavalry, but it has features closer to that of spear cavalry, as they have an incredible charge and a very solid armor-piercing melee attack, while also maintaining the strengths of a melee cavalry unit, a shield to protect them from ranged attacks and a very fast melee attack rate. The most important thing in favor of all 3 of these units, however, is the fact that they all have fatigue immunity, meaning they will never get fatigued, which is absolutely insane as the biggest problem with cavalry in this game is how fast they get fatigued and how much worse they perform when they are. This alone makes all 3 of these units absolute powerhouses. That is gonna do it for the Ma Teng faction overview. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the comments and I shall do my best to answer them. Also let me know which faction you'd like to see covered next. Finally, if you're thinking of purchasing Free Kingdoms yourself, you're in luck. I am affiliated with 2Game, an official online retailer that's currently selling Free Kingdoms at a very attractive price. And if you use my code SmartDonkey, you get an additional 10% off as well. You'll get an official Steam key upon purchasing the game. If the game is region locked for you, just change the currency in the top left of the screen and that'll fix it. If you'd like to just support me making this type of content instead, make sure to check out my Patreon page. All the relevant links will be in the description. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you've enjoyed. Have a good day and goodbye.